Namaskar. Today we will study the anti-arrhythmic drugs, and before that I will request you to go through our class on conduction system in heart, then to go through the pathophysiology of cardiac arrhythmia, and then go through the electrophysiology of myocardial fibers. After that, it will be easy for you to understand this antiarrhythmic drugs. Let us first come to the classification. We can classify antiarrhythmic drugs as class 1, class 2, class 3 and class 4. Class 1 as sodium channel blockers, class 2 as beta blockers, class 3 as potassium channel blockers, class 4 as calcium channel blockers, and some miscellaneous drugs are there, and all this classification you can get in books, so I am not discussing. But this class 1 again can be divided into class 1A, 1B and 1C based on their dissociation. Okay, so once the sodium channel is blocked, then the dissociation or recovery is fast in class 1B, moderate in class 1A and slower in class 1C. So slower as compared to class 1A. Now let us discuss the mechanism of all these drugs one by one. Class 1 antiarrhythmics are called sodium channel blockers. So sodium channel, you can see our class on sodium channel, and this sodium channel exists in three states: open state, inactive state, closed state. This closed state also called as resting state, and this inactive state also called as refractory state. So once one impulse comes or action potential comes, it opens the sodium channel. When it will be in closed state, then only action potential can open the sodium channel. If it is in refractory state, no action potential can open the sodium channel. Only if the sodium channel is in closed state or resting state, then only one action potential can open the sodium channel. So after opening, the sodium channel remains inactive for certain period. Okay, remains inactive. That period is called refractory period. That is called refractory state of the sodium channel, during which whatever strong impulse may be, it cannot open the sodium channel. It will take some time to come back to its resting state. Then only if action potential comes, it can open. Here if action potential is there, then it will not act. It will, when it is in closed state only, the action potential can open. So this is the thing. And in tachyarrhythmias, that means the heart rate is more as compared to the normal. In tachyarrhythmias, what happens? The period for which this sodium channel remains inactive is decreased. Suppose normal inactive or refractory period is 0.3 second. Okay, so what happens in tachyarrhythmia? It will be less than that, say 0.1 second. Okay, so we can that means if it is for 0.1 second, then it is coming to the closed state very quickly, and action potentials are there, impulses are there, and they again open, again depolation, repolation. So tachyarrhythmias are occurring. So what we can do, we have to increase this duration of this refractory period. How? By blocking this, blocking the channel when this is in the inactive state. Okay, and it should be within the time frame of the normal one. So normal, suppose say it is, for example, we are taking. So suppose normally it takes 0.3 seconds. So if in the tachyarrhythmia it is decreased to 0.1 second, we have to increase, and it should increase not beyond 0.3 second. It should be within 0.3 second, say 0.25 second or 0.28 second. So if it will bind to the sodium channel in its refractory state within the time frame of the normal one, then what will happen? The normal myocardial fibers will not be affected. Otherwise, what will happen? The normal myocardial fibers will be affected. So what happens? We have 1A, 1B, 1C, and 1B there is fast association and fast dissociation. So fast dissociation means it is taking less time than a normal myocardial fiber taking this refractory period. So because of that fast dissociation, no effect on the normal cells. So class 1b drugs have no effect on the normal cells. Okay. Class 1a, there is moderate dissociation. Okay. And class 1c have very slow recovery or very slow dissociation. Suppose it takes for recovery it takes 0.4 seconds, which is more than the normal. So what will happen? This will again the whole cycle will be delayed, and this can also cause arrhythmia. Okay, rather than beneficial effect, it can also cause arrhythmia. And class 1c drugs has the potential to produce arrhythmia, so they have the potential of pro-arrhythmogenic effects, class 1c. Okay, but class 1b, there is no effect on the normal cells. Okay, so these drugs mainly bind to the open state as well as inactive state, and class 1a drugs bind more to the open state than inactivated state. Class 1b bind more to the inactivated state than the open state, and class 1c binds like 1a, but recovery is very slow. So we can say the sodium channel block by class 1 antiarrhythmics is state dependent. Okay, binds to open and inactive state, and use dependent or frequency dependent. Why? Because in tachyarrhythmia the myocardial fibers are frequently depolarizing, because in them this inactive period or refractory period is less as compared to a normal myocardial fiber. So frequently it is coming to the closed state and again opening. So depolarization again and again frequently occurring. So that results in tachyarrhythmia, which occurs during ischemia or hypoxia. So now you can see these three figures: class 1a, class 1b, and class 1c. The blue figure is for normal one, and the red one is by the drugs. So in all these three cases, you can see there is a shift of the upstroke during this phase 0 upstroke. There is shift rightward, and that means it slows the conduction. Okay, slows the conduction, and you can see nominal shift is there in case of class 1b, and marked shift is there in case of class 1c, and moderate is there in case of class 1a. Okay, now in addition to sodium channel block, this class 1a drugs also block potassium channel. Potassium channel is also blocked, because of which this phase 3 repolarization is prolonged. So action potential duration is prolonged, effective refractory period is prolonged. However, a effective refractory period is greater than the action potential duration. And all the antiarrhythmic drugs, they increase the ERP to APD ratio. Okay. So here also ERP to APD ratio is increased. And because of increased action potential duration, there can be increase in QT interval, which leads to Torsades points. And because of slow conduction velocity in ventricles, there is increase in QRS duration. So these two are the side effects of the class 1A drugs. Then class 1B has nominal effect on the rate of rise of phase 0, but shortens this phase 3, so decreases the action potential duration. When the action potential duration is decreased, the ERP to APD ratio will definitely increase, and they have no effect or little effect on normal cells, because they dissociate fast after the block. Then class 1C drugs, there is marked decrease in the rate of phase 0 depolarization, but no or minimal effect on the action potential duration as well as ERP. You can see it is just on the normal one. So minimal effect on APD and ERP, but due to decrease in conduction velocity in ventricle, there is increased QRS duration like class 1A drugs. Okay. And these class 1C drugs are effective in supraventricular tachycardia, including your WPW syndrome, which is a type of re-entrant arrhythmia due to anatomical abnormality. and there is accessory pathway. Then class 1B drugs are effective against ventricular tachycardia and ventricular fibrillation, whereas class 1A drugs are effective against both ventricular tachycardia as well as supraventricular tachycardia. Then we have class 2 drugs. Class 2 drugs, okay, this class 1 drugs, they act mainly in your non-automatic fibers as well as the ectopic foci. Okay, and the class 2 drugs act on pacemaker cells in SA node and AV node. They competitively block the beta receptors in heart, and they depress the phase 4 depolarization. They depress because of which there will be decrease in heart rate and prolongation of PR interval. They decrease the conduction through AV node, increase in effective refractory period, increase in action potential duration. So they prolong the repolarization, and that's why they mainly used as prophylactic, and they can decrease the mortality following myocardial infarction. They are effective against atrial flutter, fibrillation, ventricular and supraventricular tachycardia, and again also in WPW syndrome. Then we have class 3 drugs. Class 3 drugs, the pure class 3 drugs are ibutilide and doptetilide. They have no action on the resting membrane potential, no action on the phase 0. They simply prolong this action potential duration and ERP by blocking the outward potassium channel during the phase 3, and because of that there will be prolongation of QT interval and PR interval. So these two are the side effects: prolongation of QT interval and prolongation of PR interval. But QRS is not affected. But some class 3 drugs are there which have multiple actions, like amiodarone. In addition to class 3, it has class 1A, class 2 and class 4 action, because of which it is having broad spectrum of action, and there is lower risk of developing torsade points. Okay, so they can be useful in ventricular tachycardia, ventricular fibrillation, WPW syndrome, supraventricular arrhythmia such as atrial fibrillation. Okay, there can be sotalol, which in addition to class 3 also shows class 2 action. Bretylium, which is a adrenergic neuron blocker, also have class 3 action. Then we can have the class 4 drugs, and class 4 drugs, they act on the pacemaker cells. So the class 3 drugs, they act on the non-automatic fibers. Class 4 drugs act on the pacemaker cells like SA node and AV node, and they block both activated and inactivated L-type calcium channel in the myocardium. Though the rate of phase 4 depolarization is decreased in SA node and AV node. They slow the conduction through the AV node, increase the PR interval, and very effective against supraventricular arrhythmia like atrial flutter, atrial fibrillation, paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia stemming from the AV nodal re-entry. Okay, and drugs like verapamil, diltiazem are used. Verapamil is more heart selective than blood vessels, whereas diltiazem is non-selective, acts on both heart as well as blood vessels. Then we can have adenosine, which is grouped as class 5 antiarrhythmics, which has similar action to that of calcium channel blocker, but it is safe and with very low toxicity. So it can be used to convert acute supraventricular tachycardia to normal sinus rhythm, especially when verapamil is ineffective. Okay, so what happens? They act on the adenosine A1 receptor, which is a G protein coupled receptor linked to potassium channel. So opens the potassium channel. So by opening the potassium channel, they block the inward calcium current. So it shows similar action to that of calcium channel blocker, inhibit SA nodal, atrial and AV nodal conduction, terminates re-entrant circuit through AV node, restores normal sinus rhythm in patients with PSVT. Then we can have another drug, digitalis, which can be a class 6 antiarrhythmic, can be used against atrial flutter and AV nodal re-entry, but it has the disadvantage that it triggers ectopic activity, so it can cause arrhythmia. Then we can have drugs like magnesium in the form of magnesium sulfate used against digitalis induced arrhythmia, used in torsades points, and potassium can also be used because hypokalemia or hypokalemia both has the potential arrhythmogenic effect. So in hypokalemia, there is increased risk of early after depolation and delayed after depolation. There is increased ectopic pacemaker activity, especially in presence of digitalis. So when we use the potassium therapy, it will normalize the potassium in the body, and it can prevent hypokalemia-induced arrhythmia. So to conclude, we can have class 1A drugs with slow phase 0 depolation, class 1B shortens phase 3 depolation, class 1C markedly slows phase 0 depolation, class 2 suppresses phase 4 depolation in pacemaker cells, class 3 prolongs the phase 3 depolation, class 4 shortens action potential in pacemaker cells. So we can classify the drugs according to their use. Drugs used for supraventricular arrhythmia, adenosine, verapamil, diltiazem. Drugs used for ventricular arrhythmia, lignocaine, mexiletine, bretylium. Drugs used for supraventricular as well as ventricular arrhythmia, amiodarone, beta blocker, disopyramide, procainamide. This is all about antiarrhythmic drugs. Thank you.